Hey, shawties, I'm Sitlali.
Hey, I'm Yubia.
Hey, I'm Carol.
I'm Paula.
And somebody finally decided to appear, aka Lucia.
Hello, guys. I'm actually back again this time for this episode. And remember that you're watching Every Which Way. So today we are going to be talking about the Brianna Denison case that happened in our hometown, which is Reno, Nevada. And yeah, so let me just start off by giving you guys a little brief story of what happened. So Brianna Denison was a college student from Santa Barbara, California, who was abducted on January 20th, 2008, from her friend's house in Reno, Nevada. Her body was discovered February 15th, 2008, in a near Reno business park after being murdered by a serial rapist. Denison was at home for winter break from Santa Barbara City College, where she studied psychology. She and her friends had attended events tied to the summer-winter action tours in Martin Luther King Jr. weekend in Reno. Brianna had reportedly attended this event in the past. Brianna was seen last on January 20th, 2008, approximately at 4 a.m. and Sandy in Reno. So Brent Denison was planning to stay at her friend's Hunter house, so she told her parents all her plans about where was she going. It was a what is it called? It was like a snowboarding festival that happened here, so that's why she came back. And she was going to stay 1 week here and then go back to Santa Barbara, California. So after all the events, they went back to the hotel for a little bit and ate at Mel's Diner, and they came back around like at 4:30, and they stayed at her friend Hunter house, which she lived. It was a tiny hometown, so she lived near the university, and she shared it with her two roommates, so they only had one room. So Brianna couldn't fit in the bedroom, so she had to sleep on the couch. And then Hunter helped her bring down all her stuff to get set up in the couch. And one key point was that they didn't lock the front door when they said goodnight to each other. So then they went to sleep, and then Denison was missing when Hunter woke up. Well, she really didn't know what was happening at that point, but she called her parents because she thought that Brianna went back home to her parents' house because she didn't feel comfortable sleeping on the couch. So after Hunter told her parents, they immediately called the police because they said that Brianna wasn't like that. She wouldn't go out in the middle of the night back to her house, and she was all like drunk, intoxicated, so they wouldn't think that she would do that. So after the police came and investigated the scene, they found a little bit of blood on Brianna's pillow, and there was a little piece of her mascara smudged into it too. So they thought that was weird, because like why would there be blood if nothing happened? And there was no signs of forced entry or like of struggle for Brianna. And the police thought that that she left with sweatpants and a sweater that day because all her belongings were there. So they were like, okay, if she went back home, why didn't she take her purse, her phone, and everything? And while they were searching outside, a fellow neighbor, Hunter's neighbor, said that he saw a man trying to come in the door through the back, but he didn't think anything of it because he thought it was just like a drunk person trying to get into their house.
Okay.
So that's when they found the DNA of an undefined man in their database, and they started to search for that man. And when they found out that man, they found 14 fingerprints in her pillowcase, and those fingerprints matched the DNA on the door. So and then they connected that DNA to 3 similar cases that happened in 2007, which was attempt of sexual assault and rape. Because the DNA matched with some of the cases, they they tried to look for that man, but they couldn't find him because he wasn't in the database when they when he committed his first crime, because he beat up his girlfriend at first.
Wow.
Yeah, he beat up his girlfriend, so he was in jail, but they didn't take his DNA, so that's how they couldn't find him, because he wasn't in the database.
Oh.
So after that, they got an anonymous call from her girlfriend's friend that gave pointers and gave the man's name, which was James. I forgot his last name. It was James. It starts with the B. I can't pronounce
Biela?
it. Biela?
Yeah.
Biela? James Biela? Something like that. And he said he was acting really strange after the murder happened with Brianna. So the friend told her that he knew him personally and that he has committed several crimes like that in the past.
Wow.
So then they went to go interrogate him. They called him over to interrogate him, to ask him about the murder. And they said he was acting really strange. He was like really nervous when they were interrogating him.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked for a DNA sample, but he didn't want to give the DNA sample.
Of course.
So like that's how the police are like, okay, that's pretty weird. Like if you didn't do anything, why wouldn't you give your DNA?
Yeah.
Especially because many people gave it willingly.
Yeah. So then the girlfriend now, they have a kid. He was like 6 years old, and she volunteered to give the kid's DNA. Cause like they could match the DNAs up.
Mhm.
Oh,
Because
okay,
that's
okay.
his son. So yeah, and then that's how they found out that he committed the 3 similar cases in 2007, like attempt of sexual assault and rape, and those happened in a parking lot near the university.
Oh, wow. Parking lot?
Yeah, in a parking lot. And then the girls were traumatized, but the girls, when they like testified against him, like they gave a good, how do you say it, like a good reason why, but like he was like put in jail, but like not for a long time. So yeah, and then basically one day a sir, his name was like Alberto. I know it sounds weird, but his name is Alberto. He was walking down, he was coming home from his job, and he just went to go eat Subway, like normally eat Subway. And then he saw like a discarded Christmas tree on, like, it was near, it said at Reno Park, but I don't know where. It was a discarded Christmas tree, and he saw like neon socks. She was wearing like neon socks. He saw neon socks, and he just thought it was a pair of socks. But when he walked closer, it was a body. But he couldn't call the police because he didn't have his phone, so he went back to his work and told his boss, and then that's when they discovered it was Brianna's body. And she was strangled. She was strangled by, they said it was like a panty strap, so like they strangled her with the panty strap, and like you could tell she was fighting back because like she had like a lot of injuries in her arm. Like her left arm was injured, and then her right arm was like up, so she was like trying to fight him off. And yeah, and then basically they gave him life in prison, and then he could get parole after 36 years. But I don't think that, no, they
He
didn't.
doesn't deserve
He
that.
doesn't deserve it. I know.
I hope
And
he's not let
then-
out.
And then that's when, that was on February 15th when they found her body. So it was like it was like a month after.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah.
February 15th,
February-
2008.
2008, yeah. So, and then after that, and then in 2016, they barely charged him for the murder.
What the
A
hell?
year later.
What?
2016.
Oh,
Not a year later.
The trial. That's when the trial.
Yeah,
trial?
yeah. The trial started in
Oh.
2016, and then they charged him with 36 years, and then a chance of parole, but he would be put down with a lethal injection.
Oh,
Oh.
okay, okay.
Okay, yeah.
wait. So like a death sentence?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, like
basically.
When they inject you and then.
Yeah.
And then you die.
A dead sentence.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
but they don't do that here a
Here,
lot
yeah. They don't.
because it has to be like a really big deal,
Yeah.
and they thought that this was a big deal
Honestly,
I
though, I
mean,
feel like it is a big deal as
because
well.
because nothing has never happened like this.
No, and
This
it's not the
major.
first girl.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
They've proven that
It wasn't his first offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one of
Exactly.
the girls forgave him for like sexually
mean-
assaulting her in the parking lot and
Wow.
everything.
I mean, like, a lot of people tend to forgive because they don't want that like
The
hate in
burden.
their
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, they don't want to just
So-
keep a
yeah, she said
grudge
she
and-
was traumatized, but she forgave him. So
I mean,
I mean,
I mean, you can always forgive, but never forget.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then in May 13th, Brian Sandoval made Brianna's Law, which that affected like 31 states. And the law is that you need to collect DNA at the time of the arrest, so the criminal could be in the database, so they could
Just
find them
for
quickly.
Future identification if
Yeah,
needed.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So that's basically it.
Today we have a special guest to discuss their experience with the Brianna Denison case.
Hi guys, my name is Jen Sims and I'm the Assistant Director for Upward Bound.
Okay, before we start our interview, we have a little icebreaker.
So, if you were a potato, what way would you like to be cooked?
If I were a potato, my favorite potatoes are cooked in the air fryer, so I think I would like to be a sweet potato in the air fryer with everything but the bagel seasoning.
Oh, that's nice. Yes, I love that.
That sounds good.
I've
Okay.
never tried a sweet potato before.
Really?
Me neither.
Me neither.
They're so good.
neither.
Ooh, sweet potato
Wait.
fry is one of my favorites.
No, never,
No.
never,
Me neither.
never.
Guys, I literally have some in the office right now.
Us Filipinos have something called ube. It's
Oh, I've heard of it.
it's purple yam, aka like sweet potatoes in a way.
Yeah.
So good.
Okay, I'll try one next time.
Okay, so today we have prepared some questions for you on the murder of Brianna Denison, and feel free to answer however you would like.
Okay, thank you.
So the first question is, did you hear of the case right when it happened?
Yes. So I was a student on campus when this happened. So it was something that I think all students were talking about, especially female students worried about like their safety and making sure that you're being very aware as you are around campus.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So where did he hear about it? Like, was it around campus, on the news, or like by friends or peers?
Everything. I think during that time, everybody was speaking about Brianna and like trying to find her because there was a long time that she was missing, and so I think it was a constant conversation of the news, the radio, anything that you saw like on social media or flyers, and people on campus were constantly talking about that. And at that time, there was actually quite a few sexual predator situations on campus. So I think at that same time, there was someone they were calling the Prowler that was like going into people's dorm rooms or things like that, and had been caught doing odd things. And then there was also someone called like the Thruster that was hiding in bushes and would jump out and like fully clothed but would like thrust on students and stuff.
That's so scary.
Yes.
That's terrifying.
So you mentioned you were a student here at UNR at that time. What were you studying, or what year were you going to graduate?
I don't remember the exact year that was, but I was in my undergrad and I was studying social work.
Oh, okay. Interesting. How was it being a woman during this time and hearing of these attacks? Were you scared? Did you have any precautions or get extra protection for yourself?
Yes, so I think I didn't go out and buy any extra protection, but I think it was a constant conversation of safety, like especially if you were taking night classes on campus, which I took mostly night classes because I also worked while I went to school. So making sure that when you're walking to your cars, I think they even like taught us that when you walk to your car, hold your key in between your fingers. Don't be on your phone or listening to your, at that time it was an iPod, which I don't think exists anymore, but don't be listening to your iPod. Make sure that you're listening as you're walking through the parking garage by yourself. Make sure you have your keys in your hand, and maybe telling everybody where you're going all the time. Like, hey, I'm leaving class now, I'm going to my car. Oh, I've made it to my car, I'm going home now.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Did you keep yourself educated about what was happening, or did you kind of just brush it off and try to forget about it?
At that time, I don't think there was any way to brush that off. Everyone in the community was fully invested in trying to figure out what happened to her, and trying to figure out like some type of peace of mind for her family of like, where was she okay, was she not okay? So I don't think there was any way to like avoid that conversation.
Oh, wow.
Did you know Brianna personally or of her before her murder?
I did not. No.
Did you participate in any of the events that they did for Brianna? Like, for example, like you wore a blue ribbon to support the family and everything.
Yes. So now that you're saying this, I totally remember these things now. Yeah, I think they had the blue ribbons, and then after they had found her body, they did a candle lighting here, and so we went to that
That
too.
sounds so sad.
So sorry.
What are your thoughts on Brianna's law? The law requires DNA collection at the time of the arrest in case of future identification is needed.
Can you tell me more?
It's like, so when a convict gets arrested, during the case of Brianna, they had arrested her assaulter before, but they didn't have his DNA
In the database.
Yeah,
So they couldn't connect it to like the other cases to
And-
find him right away.
Yeah, and after Brianna was murdered, they made a law of where they have to collect DNA samples, so in case that it's needed for a future like case or anything.
That sounds like a good law to me. It sounds like something that probably would have been helpful if it were in place before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, when the suspect was caught, did you feel a sense of relief or were you still on edge?
I think definitely a sense of relief that her family could find peace in knowing that because I think there was a little bit of everyone that was thinking maybe she was still alive and maybe that she was being held somewhere, and so I think the relief of like, okay, now everybody can grieve and move forward. But also it was very scary because they found her body here in Reno, and the man who did the assaulting, I don't think was what people would typically have envisioned. Someone who would kidnap a young lady and murder her would be. So everyone's like, oh, anybody can do this, right? Like anybody. I think he was like a father, had like small children. He had a partner. So I think everybody was like, oh my goodness, your partner could be sneaking out and kidnapping and murdering someone, and you might not even know. I think that was unsettling for everyone.
Yeah,
That is scary.
That's definitely a scary situation
Yeah.
to think about. Do you still think about the situation to this day, or have you kind of forgotten about it?
No, I think especially as the mother of two young girls, I'm constantly thinking about like, hey, and I think sometimes you think, oh, this would never happen to me, right? Or like, oh, this would never happen in my town. But this absolutely not only happened in our town, but happened on our campus, right? And
Yeah.
so,
Like, oh my bad.
no, go ahead.
Like, go ahead. My bad.
I know Brianna didn't go to school here, but she was here on campus with her friends, it's like staying here. So that part was really like a good reminder that you need to practice all those safety precautions, and you need to be aware, and you need to educate young people on how to be protective of themselves and be aware of other people, and not to be a bystander, that if you see something weird, if you hear something weird, make sure that you tell somebody, because you could be the reason that somebody is still alive or well.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think James Biella, her assaultant, got the conviction he deserved?
Do you?
Definitely. Yeah. He got life for 36
He got
years?
36 years and he had a chance of parole after,
Oh, no.
but
Never
he
mind.
would be put down with a lethal injection.
Yeah.
I feel like he just should
So it's like kind of like the death. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
because-
death sentence.
It's not the first time he did this. Like,
Yeah.
he raped and assaulted other girls, too.
So that was technically this was like the 4th time that it happened with Brianna, since there were 3 cases before.
I feel like he just deserved to be in jail for the rest of his life. Personally, I feel like he should have been. He's in jail right now, but I think he should be in jail for the rest
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to like really, really sit with this one. I don't know if I can answer that right now.
Yeah,
of
that's
like
fair.
what I think would be the right response.
That's fair.
So did the situation change your perspective on the risk that women face today?
In general, yeah.
Yes, and I don't know if necessarily just women. I think everyone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The world can be such an amazing place of so many opportunity, and the world can also be like very dangerous and scary. So I think I don't know if this one case changed my mind. Like I'd said earlier, that having it happen so close to home and having it happen to a family person or things like that was like that was a little bit like a reality check for me.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Thanks for joining us today and letting us interview.
It was
Yeah, it means
nice.
a lot.
Yeah, it was nice hearing your
Really
perspective. So we would like to thank you.
Thank you guys. I'm so flattered.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this has been the Every Which Way podcast. If you guys enjoyed this episode, and thank you to our special guest speaker for joining us today. See you guys next time.
Bye.